Just go up to the regular ticketing agent the way you normally would. They have to weigh your bags. You can play around a little bit with weights. If you're like me, like I have a scale in my garage with all my tech, and it's exactly 49.5 pounds, every one of my cases, all the time. But if you really get in a jam, like my padlock is huge and the gun is pretty heavy. Like I've done shit where I put the thing on the scale and they weigh it, and I'm like, oh, by the way, I have to check a weapon, and then that's 5 more pounds that is not on the scale. But essentially, you have to check in how many bags. If you have an overage, you're paying for your overage, unless you're a frequent flyer. Once that's established, you say, by the way, miss, I have to declare some weapons. Be thinking when you phrase that. Don't just be like, excuse me, I have a gun, and I need to declare it. Like, the sentence should come out in a normal order. Like, by the way, I need to, do you have any firearms forms? Do not be surprised when they ask you right there to verify that it's unloaded. It is the duty of the first check-in agent to first just examine it. And I've had family behind you going to Disney World, and you're like dropping mags and clear and lock, and you're like, here you go. And you put that together. Yeah, it's great. Once they've done that, they'll give you a small card that has to be, left somewhere in the bag. They'll fill it out with your flight number, you sign it. It just says, I verified that this is an unloaded weapon, and I have checked this weapon. You will then lock your bags and be taken to a secondary screening area. What really happens is the TSA will send your stuff through a rapid scan machine with you standing there. Most of the time, that's the end of it. It's locked at this point, by the way. You'll lock it, give it to them. They usually won't care. They'll just be like, all right, he's had one gun. I see it. I see that it's unloaded. You're fine. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. If they see anything, like I can't, it's kind of this, does that look loaded to you? Hey, can you come over? We need to look at, sometimes they'll call you over. They say, could you please open this, sir? Okay, now step back. And they'll okay, it's unloaded. Well, we have it open for good measure. Swab. Okay, no residue. All right, could you please lock it up, sir? All right, thank you very much. That's all it is. It's basically getting the scan out of the way while you're still near your bag. As long as nothing shows up on an x-ray machine somewhere in the bowels of the airport with you nowhere near there, as long as they expected to see a firearm, that's all they want. There are some pointers I can give you. Obviously, I said, don't be a dumbass when you declare your weapon. Most airlines, I've never had a problem with at all. Sometimes I had one person call a supervisor and say, is this really the policy, Sally? Is this how they... Almost every place, though, they're really well-educated. Some people I know do take the rules, the actual federal guidelines. You can print them out on the internet. They'll laminate them, or they'll at least shove them in their pocket. On the off chance you get someone who gives you static, you can be like, no, look, this is the rule. It's right here. But I've never known anyone to have a problem. I see a hand. Question is, what about gun permits? I've never had to show any permits. I've never had to show any concealed carry permits. They never care. I've actually checked firearms without showing my ID at the check-in desk. I've just said, I'm on this flight, and this is my confirmation number with my paper printout from Travelocity. Yes?
Do you have to carry ammo, or can you just have the empty gun for the security?
Question was, do you have to carry ammo, or can it be an empty gun? It can be completely empty. It doesn't even have to be a functioning firearm. I will explain about that. Obviously, be smart. Put your name tags on everything. If it gets lost or mishandled, and it is one of your carry pieces, you want to not have that wind up in, what is that wholesale clearinghouse store that lost baggage goes to somewhere in Arizona? By the way, if you do have a lost luggage issue, and you've had to deal with lost luggage in the past, it sucks, right? You watch the fucking on-the-spot personal service you get when you're like, I was traveling with firearms and they didn't come out of that bag carriage, please. Yeah. Another tip I'll give you is keep things, when I say locked, as much as possible. What I mean is, one of the first times I ever did this, the woman said, oh, okay, well, we're going to put you here, and then can you move over to here, and then we're going to weigh that here. At one point, my bags went, on the conveyor, away from me, and I was like, fuck, dude. And they weren't locked yet, because I kind of was just in a zone. I wasn't thinking. And I said, wait, you haven't locked that. She goes, oh, hang on. And they had to call somebody, and then it was 5 minutes trying to find some guy to pull them back out through the little flappy doors. That sucked. It's better to be asked 5 times. Wait, you know what? Can you please unlock that one more time, sir? We have to blah, blah, blah. It's better that than to have them vanish away and then they weren't locked. That defeated the whole purpose of what you were doing. Sometimes the secondary screening area where the rapid scan machine is far away. If you had one of those smart carts, don't get rid of it. Or if you had a bag carrier guy, if you grab a sky cap, keep him around. They love it, by the way. It gets them, the curbside guys, it gets them out of the hot air, and they love to see guns. They're like, oh, this is interesting. So we'll talk about sky caps and how that's awesome. And some airlines, it's very uncommon, some airlines are stupid with those indicator labels. Very, very uncommon now, but be mindful. Like, hey, wait, did they just put, ma'am, you're not allowed to put that on the outside of my bag. Excuse me, sir, you can't mark that there. That's not a problem much anymore. And don't be fooled. You might be like, oh shit, what did they just put on there before they put it away? Sometimes you might see something like this. You might see a little holographic sticker, and I was like, is that a firearm thing? That's not allowed. I was like ready to yell at the TSA. Sometimes you might see just a big, stripy banner. This is usually an overweight bag banner. Anything close to 50 pounds or above, for OSHA regulations, they have to let the bag throwers actually know, oh, I'm about to wrench my back when I grab this. And the little hologram just is a TSA inspected and cleared sticker. The TSA will put that on after it manually goes through the rapid scan machine. That's what actually lets it go through the rest of the airport without being molested. And yeah, there is an actual airport code and date in the hologram, so you can't fake those. This gentleman says it's a sticker on top of a sticker that's reusable. Yes, although it would be the wrong date and airport code if you if you were another day. A couple more things. Funny keys are a good thing to have. All of my locks, you might have seen them, they're rotating disc locks. A lot of times people are puzzled by the key. Why do I say that? Sometimes in the secondary area, the TSA will just ask for your key, can I have your key in case we need it? And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? But I'll get sure, here, take this. And they don't even realize what this is a key? Okay. It's just so that I know when they're wandering around behind the machines, half the time if they need to get in my bag for some reason, they're like, could you show us how this key works? We don't understand what this is. So yeah, do something goofy with the key. Your insurance, airlines are insured if they lose your bags, that kind of thing. That can woo, sexy makeout party in the middle of my talk. All right, I'll keep talking because my slides are much more attractive than I am, so that's all that matters. Yeah, your insurance may be different depending on what, if you're traveling with your super gold-plated, ridiculous otaku John Woo fanboy pistols, they might not be covered by airline insurance the way normal bag would be. I mentioned about playing around with the weight, how you can kind of do that funniness if you don't put the gun in before you weigh the bag. The question some people ask me is, can the gun be locked inside of other bags? Can you have a small, hard-sided case with just the gun inside of a big case? Yeah, you could totally do that, and it counts as one bag, and it still counts as locking the gun. But why? We're talking about having giant cases with one gun in each of them, ideally, so you can put all your expensive tech and lock it all up. That happened to me once. I was with 3 boxes. You've seen those 3 big cases, and I had a little tiny gun in each one, a little pistol in each one. And the check-in lady was like, you probably could have saved yourself some time and effort if you put all 3 in one of the cases. You wouldn't have to fill out all these forms. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Thanks. I'll take that tip for next time. Excellent. And someone has, I see a couple of hands now that we have light back. Shout.
Last question, if you have multiple bags, do you need multiple guns? Or is one enough?
The question was, if you have multiple bags you want to secure, do you need multiple guns? Yes, you do. A bag cannot be secured without some declarable firearm in it. Sir, I saw a hand next to you. I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying. The question was, do you only carry to reciprocating states? You're talking about concealed carry and the laws. This has nothing to do with concealed carry. You don't have to have any concealed carry permit. I have the Florida permit, which is valid in 28 states, but you never need your permit unless you are actually walking into the airport with a gun on your hip. The gentleman says, my permit is no good here. Well, if I am actually, we can get into a whole thing about firearm laws. I'm permitted, if I was flying into New York, to fly with weapons in my bag, and then if I'm staying at a hotel or other residence, to have them in my hotel or legal residence. A hotel is legally your residence for Fourth Amendment purposes when you're paying as a patron. You don't need a CCW to have a gun, even in New York, in your hotel by federal law. It doesn't mean the cops won't mess with you. But we can talk about playing with that with the other firearms thing. I saw one hand, then we gotta keep it moving.
Are you ever worried about being in a cab or being in a car?
Similar, related to that, he's asking if I've ever been worried about being in cabs and things. I question what I'm going to carry sometimes, so I've never worried because I've never carried my guns to New York or to D.C. Even though, what's the latest ruling on, is it Miller? How is that going these days? Heller? Do we actually have the fucking Constitution back in D.C.? All right. I did see your hand, but we're going to keep rocking for a bit.
It's got a registration process.
Okay. So, why do I say not just functional firearms are part of this process? All of the following things are declarable as firearms. In fact, you are obligated to declare them as firearms, and you are allowed to lock your bags. I have bought $9 Chinese spring airsoft guns off of eBay, like 3 of them for $9. They came from Hong Kong, and they took a month, and they're this big. They are firearms for the purposes of declaring your bags. Anything that will show up on a rapid scan machine that looks like a firearm, they want to have it documented. They want the form in the case. They want to already have dealt with it. They don't want it to be tripped by the low-wage, never interacting with another human being bag jockey at a screen in the bowels of the airport. So all these things count. I have replica pieces. I have obviously I've flown internationally with my airsoft guns because you can fly to other countries that airsoft. I fly to Norway with my airsoft guns. Canada, you can't have airsoft in Canada. I don't know if you know that. They'll confiscate them. Beats me why. So I fly with training replicas or theatrical props. They don't have like working slides or anything. And I'm like, I'm doing a theater piece. This is for performance. Whatever, it counts. Shotgun chokes, receivers, bear receivers. I know a bunch of my friends and we don't know what's going to happen in the next election. We've been stocking up on AR receivers because they're cheap. They'll be grandfathered in, by the way. Look on gunbroker.com, $90 for like a stripped bear receiver for an AR that you can have legally. But yeah, I mean, you might get a funny look when checking in, and a person will say, "Are you sure? I don't think you have to declare that, sir." And you say, "I have the form right here, lady. I don't want to break the law, and I want my padlock." So yeah, a lot of these things count. One last pearl of wisdom I love to tell people, there are ways you could sometimes slip in line when you're declaring firearms. It really boils down to grab a sky cap. There's a lot of ways you can game the system, but the best one is go to curbside check-in, have your $5 that you're going to tip because the little smart cart costs $3 anyway. Who cares? $2 more, and you say, "Sir, I need some help." And he'll start loading your bags, and you say, "Ooh, shoot, I don't think I can do curbside check-in because I have to declare firearms. Don't I have to go in?" He goes, "Oh, that's okay, sir. Let me get that." And they'll take you in the side door, and they'll scoot you past all the lines, and they all know the check-in staff. They're like, "Bob, Sally, can I borrow one of you over here? This guy's checking in fire. Can we do this right here?" And they go, "Oh, thank you very much, Jamil. Thank you. I'm going to give you your $5. And they're like telling you, they're delighted. They're like, "Oh, what do you got in there? That sounds interesting. What kind of, do you shoot a lot?" They'll bullshit with you. They'll stick around, then they'll take you over to TSA for the secondary screening. So for an extra couple bucks, you're not only not, carrying your own bags, you're skipping lines, you're in really good shape. I recommend trying it. What's the worst you're going to have? The first guy's going to say, "Oh yeah, you're right, curbside you can't do. I'll take you to the line, sir." Give it a whirl. Frequently asked question, what do I personally use? I'll give you the breakdown. It works really well for me. You can adjust it to your own, contrivances, but essentially, the biggest thing, I have 81 millimeter mortar round cases. I buy them really cheap. These are $15 freaking dollars, like used. They are cheaper than any Pelican case you're gonna find, and you can kick the shit out of them.
How heavy are they?
The question was, how heavy are they? They're empty, they're like less than a pound, maybe 2 pounds. The question was, do they ever test for residue? That's a really good question, and I've never tripped residue sensors, so that's kind of really fucking funny. I see a hand, yes.
You've got to have fired that day, or you have to have black powder loose in the case to trip the sensor.
The lady points out, usually, unless you've been to a range that day or have loose powder from your ordnance, it probably won't trip. And yeah, these are so used. There's like sand in the bottom of these from '91 in the Gulf War when I buy them. Was there a hand or?
Yeah, I was wondering, because you're talking mostly about firearms. What about things like blades, throwing stars, throwing knives, and that?
The question was blunt or throwing weapons, not range weapons. They do not count. I've tried flying with even like K-bars and stuff, and they won't declare it as a checkable weapon. I will tell you, it's about 2 feet. The question was how big. It's about 2 feet by maybe a foot and a half, a little less than a foot and a half, and it's about 8 inches deep. It's a sizable case. You'll see when it's down in the Lockpick Village. We have all the gear. And someone was saying, but I'm going to keep on cranking. Well, we'll get to tons of Q&A. How are we on time? I'm talking way too fast because I'm a little jazzed, but. All right. I'm just so happy to be here and have like an awesome time slot. You get your talk done, and then it's like, happy time the rest of the con. This is the way to do it. So I don't just go with a bare case. I actually will add an extra hasp on front of it. You can find these at hardware stores. Find the heaviest hasp you can find. Obviously, instead of screwing, I will drill through it and use bolts. I'll JB weld or Loctite the bolts on. Once you have that, it really just comes down to what padlock you can find. I personally love these heavy rotating disc, heavy Abbas locks. for a variety of reasons. They're not super expensive. I'll give you URLs and prices in a minute. But yeah, like I really just more than anything, I love that the key puzzles everybody. They don't know how to use it, so half the time they're like, oh, okay, sir, we don't have to open this. What does all this set me back? Very, very little. Like, I knocked all this together. The most expensive thing is the padlock by a huge margin. You know, you can put some paint on it, maybe a little piece of fabric or a sack to cover the padlock, but for well under $100, you have no worries ever flying. And for as anxiety-laden and pissing me off as everything else about air travel is these days, that's a very good investment in my book. To have one less thing that I have zero fretting about for less than $100. Yeah, man, like I'm all over that. That's what it boils down to. So it's all Q&A from here. Thank you. So wave around and shout or something if you have questions, and here are where you can get some of those items. I see 1 and 2, and I see some more. Yes?
It says replica and prop. I mean, could I use a squirt gun? I mean, what's the least dangerous thing I can do?
That's a very good question. The gentleman says, what about how much of a replica or prop are we talking? Can you use a squirt gun? Essentially, it's anything that could have a ballistic, anything that could be even remotely dangerous, any type of range weapon. I don't think a squirt gun really qualifies, but airsoft and BB guns, because they do act as some sort of a weapon, would probably, and also because they often have some mechanical parts in them. Squirt guns, you're probably pushing it. But again, dollar store squirt gun versus like $4 spring gun. Go one investment up higher than that. And even so, even though they probably would give you static checking in, I wouldn't take like a squirt gun on the plane just because they'll yell at you probably at the carry-on check. So maybe it would be, tell you what, if you try it, tell me what happens and I'll post it on my website. I don't think I put the URL, deviating.net/firearms is where you can find all my lectures. You'll find these slides. I'll post more stuff later. Next to you is a question.
Yeah, could you share some more experience about international travels?
Sure. The question was, can I share more stories? Oh, I got plenty of stories if we run out of questions, by the way. Can I share more stories about international travel? For the most part, I've had more questions at customs about things like handcuffs and why I'm traveling with 70,000 lockpicks than I have about the airsoft gun. Because I say, what is this? Is this they'll be like, what is this? Is it a gun? And I'm like, well, no, it's clearly plastic and it has a big orange tip on the. I'm like, you can see this is an airsoft gun. I'm gonna do some fun BB shooting with my friends later. I don't know. You make something up, whatever. Like I'm gonna go to this security con and a bunch of the guys are gonna do practice target shooting. I don't know. But yeah, I mean they don't care. If airsoft is legal where you're going, it's not like bringing in anything else. I've had more questions about knives and handcuffs and stuff than anything else than that. I saw a couple of. I see a hand. Yes.
Can a minor declare a weapon?
The question was, can a minor declare a weapon? That's a really fascinating question. Not being a minor, and I haven't known, and I broke it off with that 15-year-old way before I started trying this. So I don't know. I would probably be willing to bet, especially if you're in the U.S., there are states where minors can legally own. I would be surprised to think that the federal law would apply any differently to them. Like if you're traveling from, Virginia to Alabama, and if you're 17 and you have, the shotgun that you got last year for your birthday, I bet you could do it. And I'd be fascinated to see how that would work. I'd love to see how that would work. So please, somebody with kids, try it and tell me. There was a question here, and I think I saw you with a question as well.
Despite the ATF paperwork for transferring out of state, is there anything different for traveling with Class 3 items?
The question was, what about Class 3s, transferring and traveling with Class 3, NFA type weapons? You're right. The paperwork is only involved in transferring of weapons from ownership between parties. If you own it and you're like, I'm going to an event, I'm going to need it, and I'm going to bring it back. You're not selling it or transferring it between individuals. There is no paperwork.
I thought there was it 5320, I believe was a form for bringing a Class 3 item interstate.
I'm sorry, interstate. Yeah, I totally spaced on that one. There are some federal forms that you have to notify, but again, I don't think you need their clearance. I think you just have to submit notification. Put it this way, I don't have any Class 3 gear because I still live in New Jersey, but when I do get some, and I've had it on my list for a while, I'll probably be awash in all of those standards and headaches. I know that every year people used to come to the DEF CON shoot with Barrett guns and saws and other things like that. And so there are definitely ways to do it. There probably is a declaration process you have to send to some big nameless agency somewhere. Babik.
For the uninformed, what is a Class 3 weapon?
For those who don't get a lot of trigger time, a Class 3 weapon is a full automatic or other weapons covered by the National Firearms Act. You know, real fun stuff. Yeah, silencers, short-barreled shotguns, destructive devices, grenade launchers, yeah. Oh yeah, man. I'd like to declare my, M79 40 mil. Yes. Question was, what do I normally carry? Well, you saw the very first slide of the presentation. I usually have Gladys when I'm going to a shooting event. And if I'm not traveling with her, then kind of just the little spring gun, the little crappy airsoft guns, the little airsoft pistols because they're cheap. And I basically just keep them in my tool cases because I'm going to I travel mostly for cons. So I'm just, here we go, just go. I've been sometimes going to an airport like, oh, I guess I didn't need that because, shoot, oh well. But yeah, they're just spring guns. I see a hand back there. No, I don't see a hand. I see a hand up here.
What about just transporting ammunition or a gun component, like an empty clip?
The question was ammunition, gun components, clips, and magazines. Ammunition, usually the policy is it has to be in a it can't be in the weapon. Sometimes they actually say, this is an airline policy, it should be in a fabric or fibrous container, basically the cardboard box that the ammo comes in. Some airlines do not have that policy, and you can actually use the magazine because the ammo can't be loose, it has to be in a container. Some magazines can count as a container if they're in a holster, because basically the ammo can't be exposed in any way. It has to be inside of something. So picture if you drop a mag, and then like the little half-height mag clips that you could wear, if you stuff the top of the magazine in that, then there's no exposed rounds, that counts. There are also quantity limitations, so be aware of that. If you have a certain type of it, like you've loaded your own hand loads because you're going to a special shoot, you can't just expect to bring tons of them. There are definitely limits there. I don't know what they are because they vary per airline, but call the airlines.
What about ammunition only?
Question was, what about ammunition only? That's a very good question that I've never had to personally deal with. I know you would have to declare it. You'd say, I'm traveling with ammo. You might get a raised eyebrow if you don't have the gun to go with it. Again, social engineer them, be like, oh, well, the guns are already there. I'm shooting my uncle's guns, but I have to bring extra ammo. You probably could get away with it. But again, it's ammo, there's so much gray area per airline. Every airline has their own weird policy, so there might be an airline out there with a no ammo only policy. I don't know, check with the airline first. You're never going to run afoul of policies, though, as I like to remind people, with just a plastic gun and no ammo. You'll never, ever have a problem with any airline ever. Yes, sir?
Can you use a combination lock instead of a key lock, and which would you recommend?
The question was, can you use a combination lock instead of a key lock? Well, you probably could, but we wouldn't recommend master dial combinations. How many people have seen the aluminum can shim? And which one? Yeah, paper. Hey, you guys know you can do that with paper too. At Layer 1, I made a video with paper opening those locks. So yeah, if there's one good dial combination lock, it's by Sargent and Greenleaf. It's either the 8088 or the 8077 is the latest version. They're filing cabinet locks for the DoD. So if you really want a combination lock that's a good lock, Sargent and Greenleaf. I see a 1 and then a 2.
Sure.
You're filming. I'm sorry. You're not asking questions. But yes, sir.
If you have to check the firearm, is this another way to get around the checked baggage fee?
The question was, does this get you out of any checked baggage fees? No, it does not. You're not given any preferential treatment like, oh, you're checking this, so we're not going to charge you extra for your third bag. Yeah, the only treatment you can specially get is the skipping in line. You're still going to face bag fees if you have too many bags. You're still going to face overweight fees if they're too heavy. There's no way around that, unfortunately. I see 1 and then 2.
Do you have to fill out the paperwork in advance, or do they have it at the counter?
Excellent point. The lady asks, can you fill out these little declaration cards in advance, or can you have to do it at the counter? I always ask, because I hate standing there trying to I like to be the guy who's in, gone. I like to be that guy, and I hate it when someone else is not that guy. So I hate standing there. I've asked every time, can you get these online or something? And I always get, oh yeah, they've been meaning to put those on the website, but they haven't yet. They're not special forms. There's no mag stripe in them. There's no barcode. There's no contact. Sometimes they have little, carbon paper on the back. But supposedly they're going to put these online. They haven't yet. They don't change. So, you could go to an airport. If you fly one carrier all the time, they're not restricted. You can be like, can I have 50 of those cards, and just take them home. So, yeah, you're allowed to show up with them already filled out if you know your flight number.
Different form for different airlines?
Question, different form for different airlines? Yes. They all do the same thing, but every airline has their own standard. Technically, the TSA and the people running the scan machines are the ones who are looking and seeing that the card is in there, so they don't really care. But ultimately, yeah, you probably can't I wish they had a generic one. It would really be not, as much as I hate any federal standards for any oversight, I'd love a generic card. We're going to go 1 and then 2.
So, does traveling with firearms affect your decision to drink while on flight?
No, the question was, does traveling with firearms affect my decision to drink on a flight? Very, very little in this world affects my decision to drink ever. And I saw a question over here.
I live in New York, so airsoft is problematic.
Okay.
And I'm in the process of getting my Florida CWP, but I don't really care about getting a New York license. So flying with a component like a slide, anything that's not a receiver, would that function?
The gentleman points out he lives in New York, where even things like airsoft can be problematic. What about flying with non-receiver, just any weapon component, but that's not a receiver? I've never flown with just like a choke or a slide. I'd welcome someone to try it. Usually, it's the restricted item that triggers this, sort of this bit. So you might, again, my bet would be you're going to get questions by somebody at the front desk when you're trying to check in. Say, no, I'm sorry. You can even, again, social engineer, say, I've specifically called the TSA. I spoke to Bob at extension 47. They don't fucking know Bob. And he assured me that I should check it and I shouldn't have it in my carry-on. I'd feel comfortable if I check it. Please call your supervisor if they have to. And call the supervisor over, and they're going to err on the side of caution. They're going to err on the side of declaring something a firearm, even if they're not sure, usually. As long as again, I've always struck out with bladed weapons. I used to try it every now and then before I had a bunch of airsofts that I bought on eBay. But yeah, if it's any type of a gun component, and I swear there's got to be something legal even in New York, like theatrical stage props. No? Really? Oh, in New York City proper, you're talking. Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, I would say look into items, component items. Is that a hand?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Have you had any experience with increased pat-down frequency or anything like that past the check-in point?
The question was, have I ever had increased additional security screenings? No. I used to be 4S all the time for reasons that I never could find out. And now that I'm not, I never get subjected to extra screenings and pat-downs. And now that I'm like a little bit older and don't always have the crazy freak-out hacker all-black attire, I kind of cruise through all the regular screenings. Like, you'll learn this eventually. Like, you stop making your hair blue and you get one T-shirt from your friend who's a Fed, you'll cruise through all the rest of the check-ins. By the way, the best shirt ever is not any specific three-letter agency. It's, someone help me with the acronym. It's the Federal Training Center. What is that? There is one federal agency, and it's a four-letter acronym, and they do all the training for basically federal minions. Everyone who has a TSA uniform and is monkeying through your bags, they went through their training program. This is the one logo they're going to recognize. So, make a fake like I faked this whole thing. You can make a friggin' T-shirt. Make a T-shirt like, oh, I'm the Federal Training Agency. Awesome. You're not going to lie to them. You don't say, yes, I work for this agency. No, you guys know this. You show up with the polo shirt that says FBI, and you're going to not get looked at twice. Whereas the other kid right next to you with the blue hair and the shirt that's like, I Ponzor the Gibson, is going to, he's going to get searched. So I've never had there's no correlation between what you check and whether you do or don't get extra screening. You got to shout at me if you're in the back, because I can't see you in the back. I see, there's plenty. So I saw a jumping person, then I see a waving person, then I heard a voice, and there might be someone here. It's a jumping person.
What about signal weapons like these that track me?
I'm sorry, say again?
What about the signal weapons?
Oh, absolutely, starter pistols you can declare. Are you allowed to have them in New York? Starter pistols? Nope, all right, you can't do dick in this city. Yeah, anything, especially something that would have a report and would have probably a rotating cylinder. Yeah, they would count. I heard, we'll do waving person, yes?
Okay, as far as the off-the-wall questions, what about an 80% receiver?
An 80% receiver.
You've heard of that phrase, haven't you?
I actually haven't heard of that phrase.
Okay, it's where you start to build and machine a receiver and you stop at 80% of the machining.
So it's transferable?
It's not yet legally a gun.
I would say the question was 80%. Now that I've heard people talk about that. It's when they don't have a license to do smithing, but if you've started to mill a receiver, you guys all know that a receiver, just the core, no trigger assembly or anything, the receiver is legally the gun. That's the part that's transferable with trouble, and you have to, again, if you're invest in your Kalashnikovs and your Stoner rifles now, buy receivers. If you're milling a receiver but it's not complete, chances are you're going to get even more head-scratching, crazy looks from the front line. Again, it's just the front desk check-in people that you have to get past. The TSA does not care. As long as you have the card that they asked you to fill out, they're going to do their job. The front desk people are the ones who don't want to do extra work. And they're like, oh, sir, you don't need to do that. I've had that. No, this is a theatrical replica. I do need to do that. So something like a receiver, you're going to get weird enough looks. An 80% receiver, I imagine, would generate even more. And because it's not categorized and tracked by the Fed for transferability purposes, you could probably have a supervisor get called over, and then you're going to have serious, headaches at that point. Because really, imagine someone who's doing this for the reason I'm talking about. You're showing up with all your expensive tech. It's in the bag. You probably have a heavy padlock that you don't want to throw in your pocket and be told you can't have it. I probably wouldn't go that route. Unless you just happen to have a bunch of 80% receivers laying around and it's the simplest thing for you, I would say spend $3 on eBay, because it's going to be no headaches and no gray areas. There was a voice and there's a hand and a hand.
Yes, you indicated that you're not allowed to put any sort of special stickers or markings on the inside, but isn't that big ass lock essentially?
Very good. I thought about that myself, actually. The gentleman points out there's no marking that's allowed saying this is a firearm, that they're not allowed to slap it on there. But clearly, if I'm putting a honking non-TSA padlock on my bag, something is afoot. That's why I said in my price list, maybe you get some fabric or something, like just imagine a strip of fabric with Velcro, or you're going to knot it up. So just those straps that hold bags shut, just put a giant one around the bag and knot it up so the lock's not visible. Or some people have those little bags with cinch sacks for all your 12-sided dies or whatever the fuck you guys do in the basement of the library. Like those little bags, like this is my elfish goblin bag. Slip that over your lock and cinch it shut. I would say, yeah, that's a good point to keep in mind. A giant lock is just as much an indicator. But again, at that point, I don't think a bag thrower is going to, shove that box in his pants and get off the airport grounds. That's less like that. I'm less afraid of that than I am of someone popping the bag open. I saw one hand. I'm sorry, still talking?
I'm sorry, but you have flown through Philly.
Yeah, that was where I had all my shit stolen, in Philly. Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't have guns at the time. One hand, then there's a waving cell phone lighter hand. That's awesome. That's smart. Yes, sir.
Paintball. Any paintball weapons?
Paintball, but weapons absolutely count. I wouldn't recommend traveling with the tank. Compressed air tanks are a whole separate airline policy.
You gotta purge those.
You got to, all right, yeah, you'd have to make you purge the valve open and empty the tank. But absolutely, that looks enough like a gun, and it's metal, it has an action that moves. They're not going to want that undeclared. Somebody back there.
I can personally vouch for if it's a soft luggage, it can and sometimes will get ripped into. I've had that happen personally.
Yeah.
Lock was really torn off.
Oh, so it was a locked bag.
Yes.
Shay's had a locked bag, but it was soft bag, so it was ripped apart. Yeah.
The gun wasn't stolen.
Oh, that you told me about that. Yeah, you had a gun inside of it in another case. Yeah, that's the one where you see that coming out of the belly of the airport, and you're like, oh fuck, what happened here? Bad news.
Also, some airlines or some terminals, Chicago O'Hare in particular, has historically had problems, from what I've read, of bags with firearms disappearing.
Really?
One year they had almost 18 disappear,
Holy Christ.
including non-civilian weapons.
Wow. Is that back in the day when they were openly tagged or modern?
This was about 2 years ago when they were talking about on Schneider's blog when he originally talked about putting a firearm in luggage, and then someone posted on there about
Wow.
what's going on in Chicago.
Well, I have not heard those reports personally, but he points out that apparently Chicago is an airport notorious for vanishing bags. Damn. I'm glad I don't fly. I hate flying through horrible airport like O'Hare, LAX, Frankfurt, and a couple others are on my list of stuff I'll never fly through. So, damn. All right, be mindful of that, I guess, too. I see one hand, and there was also a hand here, I think. It was possibly first. Was there a hand here? No? All right, you lose. Someone over here.
Okay, I got a comment and a question for you.
Yes.
I actually had items added to my bag.
He said he had items added to his bag.
There's some lady's Carolina.
Did you guys ever see Johnny Long's talk where there was a woman who found TSA uniforms in her bag? Accidentally? Yeah. So that was, I'm sorry, that's a great story to tell. Go on, sir, though.
And what caused you to look into all this?
What caused me to look into all this? It was definitely that incident in Philly where I lost like over $1,000 worth of picks and locks and other tools. Like I used to have those cases as you saw them, but they were just clasped, and it came out of the bottom of the airport like hanging open, and like my knives were gone, my picks were all gone. I don't even know if someone stole them or if they just rifled through, like dumped them all over the floor. I don't know what it was, like incompetence or thievery. But that was the clincher for me. I was like, this fucking sucks. And I read Schneier's work, and I was familiar that it's possible, so I started really looking into it. I see a hand here.
You said Snyder. Who's
Schneier? Schneier. Who's Schneier? Wow. How long you been coming to Hope? Jesus. Yeah. Google. Google is your friend. No, Schneier is like basically the father of crypto and big into open information, and he's If you can ever see Schneier talk, he's an excellent person to hang out with. He's very cool. What are we on time? We have like 15 minutes. So if there's a couple more, people are shouting stories. All right, I'll give you one story, then we'll do some more questions. This is a story. I think this actually happened as told, but I heard it a little bit through a grapevine. So maybe it didn't quite happen this way, but I'd like to imagine it. Sometimes you'll get people at airports, the ticketing and check-in agents, who are they just think everything's mundane. They've been there, they've made a very horribly wrong career decision, and they've worked this job for too long, and they've seen everything, including firearms. So a party of 3 fellas are checking in for a flight, and the first guy goes, by the way, I need to declare a firearm. She goes, I need to see that it's unloaded, sir. It's just at the end of her shift, and she's had too long a day. Okay, and he opens his bag and pops the cylinder out of the revolver. There's nothing in it. I don't have any ammo. Thank you very much. Okay, lock it up. Go on your way, sir. The next guy comes up. He goes, I need to declare firearms. I need to see that it's unloaded. And this guy, and you've all met him if you come to DEF CON, he's a long-standing vendor. He pulls his carry piece, drops the mag, racks the round out of the chamber, puts the round back in the mag, and cups it up. And he goes, that's the mag, and this is unloaded. Clacks the slide. And he locks it up. And the woman's like, Jesus Christ. So he's fine. And the third person in the party, and the woman is still like, steely-eyed, bored lady. She goes, I need to declare a firearm. I'll need to see that it's unloaded, sir. You know the drill by now, that kind of thing. He opens up, big-ass Pelican case, and it's an M249 saw. So he clear and lock, and he goes, would you like me to show you how to verify it's unloaded? So that's the best firearm story I've ever had. Oh, there's one other one. All right, I'll give you, do we have another question? I'll do more questions are more important. Do we have questions? Shout, I can't see you. All right, someone's shouting stories. We'll wrap it up with this one. I attribute this more to a language barrier than anything else, because I was flying back from Hack in the Box in Malaysia, and you've seen these cases. Sometimes you'll get told, depending on how big your stuff is, like, oh, you have to go to the heavy oversized baggage kind of thing, and they sent me to oversized baggage. So I'm in KL airport, where the people barely speak English at the ticketing desk. The guy who's hired because he can lift heavy shit really has no command of English. So I show up with these, I'm thumbing these on the thing, and I assume he meant to inquire, are you traveling with firearms today, good sir? I wasn't at the time, actually. This is before I did this. But, I assume that's what he meant to ask. But in his limited capacity for English, he looks at the cases, looks at me, looks at the cases, looks at me, and goes, no bombs, yes? And I was like, you know what? I'm done. That's it. I'm out of here. So thank you very, very much. This has been great. Find me later with more questions. And right on time.